Guys, I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Love you
Thanks.
too.
I was
long
looking for a little... Wow. All right.
reciprocity.
Yeah.
This is the Blue Man
Here we go.
Group. Sie ist the Blue Man Group. This is 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 the Blue Man Group.
Well, hello, everybody. My name's Ron Ecstasy, and this is Blue Men Group. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Devin Welsh and John Biedran.
Hi.
Hi. Great to see you guys here in the newsroom. It's very cold. It's a cold 62 degrees Fahrenheit in the newsroom. I am unsure what Celsius centigrade that is.
Yeah.
Cold.
It is cold in here.
Cold. Do you know why we keep it
wasn't-
cold?
Because this is also a server room and we get it for cheap
Yes, that is the
if we sit in here because there's a lot of whirring
correct
motors.
answer. So we're back at it. We had last week's episode. It was great. We talked a little bit, probably too much, about our cruise that we went on, where we got into some trouble out on the waters. That's fine. We're
Yeah.
back. Everything's good.
We maybe talked about it too much because we may or may not have accidentally perjured ourselves.
Yeah, I just
We
found out what that
will-
word means.
We will
And-
continue to talk about it at length.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And-
we refuse to learn our lesson.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's been a pretty interesting week. That's correct. Pretty interesting week news-wise is what I was going to say. But I think we should just get into it. Let's go to This Week in History.
1944, Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., older brother of future President John F. Kennedy, is killed during World War II. The 29-year-old Kennedy and his co-pilot die when their Navy plane, filled with explosives, blows up over Britain.
Oh, well, that...
Shit.
I mean...
Don't fly
What do you
an explosive
Yeah.
plane over Britain, then.
Yeah, he's tempting
Wait, over
fate
Brit-
with that. He's flying over
Yeah.
Britain. The plane is filled with explosives. He's already like how many feet up in the air?
Exactly.
Pretty dangerous.
And wasn't his... So this is... Let's set the scene here. This is Joe Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
Who is the
Yes.
oldest son of Joe Kennedy Sr. and Rose Kennedy, I believe,
Sure.
who was the older brother of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Ted Kennedy.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. And
Yep.
so this is the
That
guy.
checks out.
This is the guy who should have been president. The original, the original
He was
Kennedy
the-
son.
Yeah, he was the star that John Kennedy was hitching his Apple wagon to.
Yeah, exactly. He was the rubber ducky that they put the money on. You know, they wanted that. They wanted Joe to be the leader of the free world, but guess what? They put him in an explosive plane over the UK,
Yeah.
and he died. So
I can imagine him getting into that plane and being like, "Are you sure this is okay? This seems like a lot of explosives."
some guy's like lighting a cigarette. It's like,
Yeah,
but
he's
you're
like,
fine.
"It's fine."
It was a bad choice because Joe Kennedy Sr., this isn't well known, but he made a deal with the devil or some kind of demonic entity. And basically the deal was, okay, yeah, you can be super rich, you can have tons of power, be really corrupt, but then every time that you have a son, he will
Yeah.
degrade in quality.
Yeah.
And the future destiny of America and even of Western civilization
Yes.
Yeah.
will be dependent
tied.
on one of those sons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he had the best son, Joe Kennedy Jr., and then a degrading series from there
Right.
in overall quality. And he put
Right.
his prized possession in this explosive-filled contraption. And,
Like joke. That is, you know what? Thank you, Devin. That is a very little known fact about that secret deal he made with the devil.
Yeah.
Irish
Catholic devil.
Joe is like, he's the lost future of America's like potential utopia.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dies, and then we get into this weird like Cold War after World War II. and then John F. Kennedy's, steering the ship there, and he's like not quite as good as his brother, probably.
PT 109.
Thank you. And then we lose John.
Yeah,
And so
again,
then we get an even shittier version of the Cold War.
not well
and
enough
Western
protected.
civilization. Right. So then we go down again. So now we're down a rung even further. Now we got Robbie Kennedy.
Bobby.
Robbie Kennedy, who can't even defend himself. Am I right? I mean,
Hey.
he can't even put up a fight. He gets killed.
Yeah.
And then
He checks out at the hotel permanently.
Then you get Ted Kennedy, who has a big accident, and but he makes it out alive.
Yeah, he didn't get killed. He didn't get killed, but he had his hand in the killing cookie jar, let's say.
So anyway, it all started with this
Yeah.
fateful explosion over the skies of England, I guess, is how he died.
Yeah.
and also to make it even crazier and to tie it in, wasn't Joe Kennedy Sr., the dad, wasn't he the ambassador to the UK for the United States at this exact same time?
I don't
Pretty
know.
sure he was. I'm
Let's
pretty
go
sure
ahead and
he
say
was.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
he
like,
was.
Come on, let's. Why are you putting your son up in an explosive airplane when this Joe Kennedy didn't even need to do shit? He could have just sat in an office and traded booze back and forth, like rum running or whatever.
Yeah, and
He
if
probably needed to look cool to become president after
that's
the
right.
war.
That's true.
but if
So he was like, "What's the coolest thing he could do?" And he's like, "I'll fly a plane full of bombs."
Yeah.
That sounds
But-
dangerous.
That's
But if
cool.
as Joe Senior, you've made this sulfurous pact with
That's true.
Beelzebub,
Yeah.
you would want to take special caution with those sort of
Your prize pig.
special sons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joe Senior, or sorry, Joe Junior. Wow. It seems like you're only 29 or something. I forget how old they said he was, but they dumb idea for you to go up in that plane. You're probably shot down by some Germans or something. Who knows? Your dad was potentially the ambassador. A lot of unknowns
what
here.
ifs, yeah.
What ifs? We'd rather not fact check or do any of that kind of stuff because
What celebrities could Joe Kennedy have had sex with?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh my God.
Maybe he would have had an affair with Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah.
That'd have been cool. Something a little more
Yes,
you know,
yes.
more exciting.
Yeah,
I
who
agree.
knows what have happened? We can only
So,
imagine, which we do.
I
He's
can-
certainly more handsome, it looks like.
Oh, he's got those Kennedy big toothy grin. I love
Yeah,
it. He's got that.
big
He's
chompers.
got that Irish charm. He's like, hey, come over here. I'm gonna sit on my lap. And then, yeah, I'm not gonna. Okay. Anyway, don't sit on any Kennedy's lap. Is all I'm trying to say. Well, may he rest in the ocean.
May he
or
rest in
wherever.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, in pieces, exactly, because he was shot down by Nazis. All right,
Yeah.
let's move along. Thanks. Do you want that, though? That just reminds me, though, maybe we should, at some point in time, do a full hour-long, in-depth look at the Kennedy brothers.
What about specifically
Yeah,
pouring over
absolutely.
the word by line details of the contract with
With
Lucifer?
Beelzebub. Yes.
Yeah.
Devin
Yeah.
has that contract in a safe somewhere, which, yeah, we'll have to unlock. Maybe we can make some video content of us unlocking the safe with the contract that the Kennedys signed with Satan herself.
And then we
could-
can also have Joe Kennedy III on as a guest that episode to explain why the devil appears in his bedroom every night.
Yeah. Okay, well, look at that. The Kennedys making a beautiful appearance. Hopefully that will have no ill effect on our podcast with their complete cursed existence.
Yeah, the brother curse.
Yeah, so hopefully no other stories about brothers will come up. Hopefully no other stories about ships, waters, brothers, anything like that will come up. Let's jump into the news for my favorite segment, What's in the News?
What is in the news?
What do we got
All right,
going
gang.
on?
Well, if you've been paying attention to everyday life in this global society that we live in, the
Global
Olympiad,
Village.
the Olympiad just finished. The Olympics are a sporting event, happens every 2 to 4 years, I think, and they just wrapped up in Tokyo, the worst Olympics ever. We reported on the condom shortage. We reported on some of the economic aspects of that, like condom manufacturers buying factories in Indonesia and not being able to staff them, or
beer futures up
beer
because they were allowing beer but no condoms.
Yep, exactly. So
And then they turned around on that, so beer futures went back down after that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Although I will say, a big surprise this week, we can report here, with the medal count is finishing up, and there were a few errors in judgment that have been corrected, and we've got an exclusive source within the Olympic Village that can tell us right now, the number one winner of the Olympics, the most gold medals, Albania.
no way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that because it starts with an A and they're number one? John, I think you're looking at an alphabetical list there, brother. That's okay.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, we will look into the medal counts. So I just got this report across my desk. It's a poll. I'm not talking about Poland. Just stick with me on this one. 40% of Americans think they could compete in the Olympics, which is a number way too high.
Now, can we do some quick math here? How many people is that?
Oh, John.
How many people are in the United States? 300 million?
380, 400.
Yeah,
Okay.
400.
I counted the other day, but I lost.
Did you lose the
380
piece of paper that you were using?
Hold on, I'm doing it. 380 million divided by what? 40%? No, times
Times
point.
0.4.
Well, I already did divide.
This is riveting radio.
0.
I'll fill in while
Okay.
you're doing the calculations and give you a
Thanks.
little rundown of this article.
That's 152 million people.
152 million. There we have it. So one
100
poll,
Be the biggest Olympics ever.
Yeah.
polling firm surveyed 1,000 U.S. residents to see if they believed they had what it takes to compete in the Olympics. 2 in 5 people thought they could keep up. So they talked
That
to
is
1,000 people, 2 in 5.
Insane.
According to the survey, 40% think they're fit enough to compete in at least one summer or winter Olympic sport. Of those, 60% were men and 70% were under the age of 35. So
Now, keep up, does that just mean like they shoot the starting gun and then you run? And that's the requirement?
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm unsure.
I'm starting to feel like maybe these people are somewhat right. Like most of them were, they're younger, they're probably somewhat fit.
Yeah.
They
It's not like they're
probably
going to win. They probably don't think that they would take the gold.
They were
The most
probably at
common-
like the CrossFit Games or something, and they just asked 1,000 people, and they're like, "Yeah, I can do that."
exactly.
Like, where were they? Were they at like a track, like a racetrack?
Yeah, they just kept calling random numbers, but they kept accidentally getting Planet Fitness franchises around the country.
Exactly.
And then someone was just around to answer the phone.
Yeah,
And they were feeling really like encouraged and confident because they'd just gone to the gym for the first time.
right.
It says the most common sports respondents said they could compete in were basketball, soccer, and swimming.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, first off, basketball, soccer, team sports.
Yeah.
So you could absolutely get carried by the top
Somebody good.
athletes in the
Yeah.
U.S. Obviously has the best basketball teams in the world.
Related statistics, the U.S. or unrelated, whatever, the U.S. obesity prevalence was 42.4% in 2017-2018. So we've got a lot of
So it
obese
almost
folks.
matches up.
Yeah, it almost
Yeah.
matches up. Yeah.
So if you were to call 1,000 people, 2 out of 5 would be like, yes, I am obese.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
And then
Yeah.
And also I could do really well.
in swimming,
in
soccer, or
soccer.
basketball,
Yeah.
I am an obese power forward on the U.S. Olympic team. And
Well, they should have had bobsled as one of the sports that people could do well in. Because that's one where you need one really
Oh
heavy
yeah,
guy.
that's true. Actually,
true.
yeah, that would be very logical. Another
Maybe
idea
that
would be
was-
to do like an obese games in America.
yes, I love that
Ooh.
idea.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea.
I think
Yeah.
we can pitch that to TNT or
Fox.
TBS,
Yeah.
the Superstation. I only say that because the guy who owns TBS tried to do, I believe it was the Goodwill Games. So there have been alternate Olympic events that have occurred like in the past, and it seems as though the Olympics are kind of as an organization, everybody kind of knows of their deep corruption and how bad cities become after the Olympics in a way, like the just incredible amounts
All of the
corruption.
problems that they have to. Yeah.
Exactly. And so just looking forward, I believe it's like the 2030 Olympics or 2032 or something like that. It's going to be Brisbane, Australia, but they won that contest of who wants to hold the Olympics without having any competitors. So
No contest. Yeah.
I'm putting the whole Blue Men Group budget on the Olympics not existing after 2032.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2036, no Olympics.
Yeah, I think that's probably likely.
But
Cool.
we can also make this a double wager, and that the Obesity Olympics will become extremely popular.
Yeah, they're going to be huge.
I think,
They're gonna
yeah,
be
that's
huge.
also likely. And we will be
Yes.
the direct beneficiaries of that, having founded it.
And we'll also be gaining weight, and we'll be competing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Of course.
So yeah, the obesity is an issue in the United States. That's why we should make it Olympic style obesity. And the estimated annual medical cost of obesity in the United States is $147 billion in 2008. And I can only imagine that number's gone up a lot in the past
Well, how much
12,
is it?
13
147
years.
billion? Okay,
So-
so but the Olympics only cost apparently 15.4 billion.
I know, yeah.
It's the official price tag.
If we could harness that energy, put that money
Yeah.
into the Olympics, we could do a super mega Olympics.
Yeah.
Why don't we just have the Super Mega Olympics where we have 152 million people?
Yeah.
40% of the population of all the obese nations competing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone
But
that
then make the
wants to
Olympics-
compete can compete.
Yeah, but especially if you're obese, and then you have to compete, and also the Olympics last like 30 times as long as they normally do.
No,
Right.
they're just
And then we
always
spend all
happening.
that.
They never
Yeah,
end.
exactly. It never ends, and we spend 147 billion dollars on it instead of 15, and then by the end of it, that might solve the problem right there.
That's so true. And then also that will increase beer sales and also help the struggling Japanese condom makers who
Yeah.
have bought factories and now can
What's a-
return to making
They
their
produce their extra special.
extremely special
Ultra thin.
ultra thin condoms.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
with a baggy fit.
I
Baggy
think
fit,
a
exactly.
permanent Olympics is our only the only
Yeah.
way out of our coming crisis, I think.
There we go.
Yeah,
Permanent
absolutely. I mean, no
Olympiad.
one cares about the Olympics anymore. Really, it's always boring because there's only the most like attractive athletic people compete.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, who's gonna win? Is it like this Russian person who's been training their entire lives, or is it gonna be this like person from the U.S. who's also been training their entire lives? as a
Yeah,
training
exactly.
person?
I want
Yeah.
people
Now, if you change it, because it's only once a year, you change it to just me and Devin.
Yeah,
and Ron.
schlubs.
And and it never ends.
Exactly.
We're like looking at the camera constantly like caged animals. Like, when do we get out of here? When does the Olympics end?
and it never
then-
does.
Never. And it never does.
And yeah,
It'd
and
be
they-
way more interesting, way more fun for people to watch.
And
Yeah.
instead of those kind of like, NBC Olympics, they just show like, it's like this person got their foot caught in a drain when they were 7 years old and now they're in Olympic. And it's all just like amazing, stories of conquering
Yeah.
things and stuff
Special
like that.
interest, yeah.
This Olympiad, essentially, when you enter the Olympics, they have video footage of you saying like, well, yeah, I could probably do that sport. And then
Like as you're sitting down on the couch.
Exactly. And
watching
then
the Olympics.
they play that and then you go do the sport and they're like, see, well, like, they said it. So
And then it cuts to you with a javelin in your hand. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a small man in a striped shirt and he shoots a gun off in your ear.
ow.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
well-
there's another man with another javelin standing across from you. And well,
Well,
Yeah. Well, there goes the obese Olympics. Okay, well, that's something that we're looking forward to. We have our marketing dollars put towards that. I think that there's a lot.
it's communication with NBC to be the exclusive broadcaster.
Yep, we're having meetings tomorrow with NBC and their whole portfolio of companies to try to get this jam down your throat. That's what we do. But okay, so 40% of Americans think they can compete in the Olympics. That's crazy, and we're in the midst of an incredible obesity epidemic in the United States.
Yeah.
John, looks like
Anyways.
you've got an article for us about some food.
Yeah, speaking of eating, what's the worst thing about going out to eat, guys?
Okay, so I would say the worst thing about going out to eat is the people.
The people, and specifically the person who is working for you.
Yeah.
Because they have an attitude,
Yes.
and they demand extra compensation,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise known as a tip, which is technically illegal according to the Constitution.
Oh, wow.
And so some of our nation's brainiest, smartest individuals are trying to figure out how to reverse engineer this problem out of our lives. It's been a big pain in the neck for a lot of Americans. And now robot waiters are joining the staffs of Silicon Valley restaurants.
Oh, great.
Right. So yeah, I thought this was going to be a food story, take our mind off of the, all of the bad stuff going on. And it is.
Yeah. By the
it's
way,
really reassuring to hear about this.
Yeah.
Robot waiters joining the staff of Silicon Valley restaurants. I didn't know Mark Zuckerberg's kids were old enough to work.
Heyo.
Thank you.
Nice. Can we cut in Ed McMahon doing that
Yes,
instead of me?
please.
Inside the new Ameswell Hotel in Mountain View, California, the California Mediterranean restaurant, Roger opened with a pair, I don't know who Roger is, with a pair of 75-pound autonomous robots called Servi on the payroll and one more on the way.
Payroll. You
What are they?
pay
Are they
them.
getting
Right.
paid? They're not
You
getting
don't pay
paid.
these things.
That's the whole point. The restaurant, located a few miles from Google's headquarters, as well as the NASA Ames Research Center, has used the 41-inch tall robots since it opened a few weeks ago, but to this point doesn't have them interacting with diners. 41-inch is the average
Worldwide
height.
average, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
These are meant to be serving robots, but I didn't like that as a personal touch for serving. Jackie Lee, the hotel's director of food and beverage, tells Rob Report, which is not a name, and the name of the website that the story comes from.
Yeah.
Which is, we don't want them to replace any actual staff. My goal was to make sure these are more an amenity for the staff to help with mundane things, and the waiters can focus more on guests.
Like one day, like what? Yeah,
Do we
like
all believe
what?
this?
I believe it. That was not sarcastic. I totally agree. I think it's important. It's not about removing the waiting staff. It's about just making their jobs a little easier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
Here's this. There's a little in theory and a little in practice. So there's another story this week, a little closer to home here in the Detroit metro region. There's a new server at Noodletopia in Madison Heights.
Hey.
A fairly short server with protruding ears brings orders to the table and returns to the kitchen just like the others. But Bella, who has the face of a cat, is a robot. Now, the thing that makes this story different, besides the cat face, is that Bella is one of two servers at this restaurant. One is a human, and the other one is a robot.
We need to talk to the human.
Yeah. How do you feel? How do you feel right
Yeah.
now?
It reminds
so for
me,
the time
yeah.
being, oh, go ahead.
Or it just reminds me of like at the turn of the last century, or not the last century, but the one before that. There were kind of like man versus machine competitions with like farming equipment or stuff, and
Yeah,
it's like
trains
John
and
Henry.
horses and stuff.
yeah, and it's like, okay, we know who won that, and I feel like we're seeing it again, and this time we don't know who will win because every time is different. It's kind of like a coin flip. So we'll see who comes out on top between the humans and the machines this time.
Well, the machines certainly have an edge. Apparently, they're not being forced to interact with customers.
That's good. I like the idea of, this machine probably costs like, who knows, $18,000 or something like that. And it's kind of scurrying around your little restaurant. And then all it takes is just one spilled water on that thing and it's going haywire.
Yeah. I imagine this is just a Roomba with a like a little table on top of it.
Yeah.
And they just load it up with food. For the time being, Servi, which as created by Silicon Valley company Bear Robotics, primarily serves as a busser at Roger's restaurant. The two robots have stations in the restaurant where they're parked, and when a server arrives with dishes from a table, they can give them to Servi, press a button, and it'll head back to the kitchen where it delivers its payload to the dishwasher.
Payload.
Yeah,
They're
it's
using,
like a
they're using
military machine.
space shuttle terminology.
Yeah.
After the dishwasher unloads all the dirty silverware and dishes, he or she presses a button and sends it right back. Then we just rinse, lather, repeat, Lee says of the robots they've leased. The staff has been comfortable with them because they've been helping them out. They don't have to constantly run dishes to the back. So there seems to be a bit of fraternity here in the back of house here in these restaurants.
Yeah.
Lee says the hotel does have bigger aspirations for the Servies, maybe world conquest.
Yeah, they're going to give it the ownership over to the Servi. So you're such a good employee.
After some time, the Ameswell would like to deploy the robots for banquet events. They'll be able to circulate hors d'oeuvres and drinks that revelers can grab as the robots pass by.
Aw. Hey,
Right.
get back here. Get back here with those hors d'oeuvres. Cruising right by. Just ignores you.
Employee
they
of the
program-
month. Employee
Yeah,
of the month will be Servi every month from here on
Every
out.
month.
Exactly. And they also they plug in those obesity statistics that we talked about earlier. Like they're like programming it, and you're at the hors d'oeuvre event, and it just like keeps driving past you. It's like, excuse
Yeah.
me,
You have already had 2,000 calories.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
bulk up
please-
here, Servi.
Please step on Servi's like lower tray to calculate your BMI,
Yeah.
and then that will determine how many hors d'oeuvres you're allowed.
Yeah, Servi's gonna look into
How
my
many fried
eyes.
clams you can have.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna pull up my 23andMe by just looking up into my eyes or something.
Into your
like
retina,
that.
yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go. The Servis are not the only robots coming to the world of food. A few years ago, Daniel Boulud backed a Boston restaurant deploying robots as chefs. With labor tight, wink wink, fast food joints are looking to recapture their old glory by turning to Flippy, the French fry robot. And here in Santa Monica, California, residents have seen little delivery robots trundling down sidewalks, ferrying takeout orders from multiple restaurants in town to homes within a 1-mile radius of the dining establishments. So those Uber jobs, Uber Eats jobs.
Yeah.
The
It's all robots now.
yeah, that
The
was
person
just a
making your
phase.
food is now a robot. The server is a robot, and then if you're getting takeout, it's now also a robot.
With labor tight.
Yeah, I know. they're like completely like creating the tightness right now.
Yeah.
like,
There's
yeah.
no room for me. I wonder.
I don't know why people
Excuse
don't want
me?
these jobs.
Excuse
It's,
me.
you know,
I'm-
they really are.
I'm trying to get to work.
So Flippy's stepping into, you know, it's like the classic American job. It's like, you know, hey, it's $7.25 minimum wage, but it's a job for students, you know, like they learn about the workplace and blah blah blah. Well, Flippy's going to be doing that now.
What
And
better
that's-
way to learn about exploitation than watching a service robot take your
Well,
job?
it's pretty chilling that this whole debate between like, you know, people who own small businesses and the workers who are demanding more money, who aren't tired of earning $3 an hour wages or whatever. This whole issue is going to get skirted by with these new robot employees.
Yeah, you don't have to pay. You don't have to give them
You don't have to pay.
pensions. You don't have to give them really. And you don't even have to give them breaks. You don't have to do much.
And
No,
the best
you just have
thing
to charge
is,
them.
the best part of this whole thing is that, you know, the savings will be passed down to the customer.
Right. True. Food will be free.
I'm getting word that is incorrect, Devin. It will just go to the business owner.
Well, so we got to wonder like when it's going to happen. And this article goes on to acknowledge that it's not a perfect system just yet.
No.
Lee acknowledges they're still working out some kinks. If you manually move the robot out of the area it has already mapped, it can confuse it, and Servi will start going where it thinks it should go,
Hell yes.
even if it's far afield. On one occasion, a Servi was on its way back to its charging station, and unfortunately, it made a left turn in front of the host stand instead of behind. When it missed its mark, it didn't know how to stop, and just started rolling out the front door, leaving the restaurant.
Amazing.
Lee says, I was like, where are you going? Lee remembers with a chuckle. I thought, well, I guess the robot needs a break too.
Oh my God.
So then they immediately took it back to the research labs to deprogram the break protocol
Yeah.
Oh,
from
whoops.
its software.
Yeah. So one of the things that always gets me about this kind of stuff, and especially, so it's just any technology marketing. The technology marketing is always like 10 steps ahead of where the technology is actually at. And I've found this to be the case for many emerging technologies. It's so funny that they'll use words like, again, like payload, which is a legitimate like NASA term, you know?
Yeah.
And this little robot, if it just gets nudged half an inch, it will be completely confused and not know how to work. and yet these are going to be somehow like a saving grace to our economy or something like that. It just feels
you
like
worry that some people are going to get really resentful of these things and probably sabotage restaurants that have them.
oh
You
yeah, and
worry that
I-
by like completely dehumanizing an entire culture, there would be some kind of blowback.
I know, right?
But I will
maybe
say
not.
that this is not the case here in the Metro Detroit region, where Noodletopia's robot Bella, developed by Shenzhen China-based Pudu Robotics. It's a cat. It's a cat face.
Oh.
It looks like a cat and can act very much like one as well. Customers can remove the food from the tray and then pat or stroke the cat behind the ears to get it to purr. If the robot has been pet for too long, it gets fussy and gives an exasperated expression, just like a real cat. So you won't be able to help yourself. You'll be overwhelmed with the adorability of this robotic cat. You won't want to hurt it.
Yeah.
In fact, you'll go in full of rage and resentment that your common man has been left in the gutter.
Right.
And then you'll take your food off your tray, and then the cat will smile at you, and then you scratch it behind the ears, and then it lets out a low metallic trill that's supposed to resemble a purr. And you know what? You'll feel okay.
Yeah, it's very true, and I can only say to our listeners that if you're ever in a restaurant or anything where these types of robots are doing their thing, just move them a little,
Just slightly
an
move
inch
it a
to
little.
the left,
Yeah, just
And-
knock it a little bit.
just knock it around a
Just
little
give
bit.
it a little shove, not even a hard one.
Just knock it
You
around.
don't even have to be violent. Just kind of place it off course.
Just send it over there. Just needs to a little nudge. Okay, so
Yeah.
that seems that's a weird little thing. It seems like the future is like
the future
here.
of food delivery is set in stone. Right?
Yeah.
There's only one way things can keep going.
I only remember,
Robotic.
the Taco Bell talking trash can that would open up and eat your garbage and say thank you, and then you could also throw the plastic tray in, and it would make lots of noise, like I did once, and they kick you out of that Taco Bell. So hopefully, if you're nudging these robots, they won't kick you out, because you could just say like it was in my way or something. But please document all robot nudging that you're going to be doing. Maybe I'll have to go up to Noodletopia and meet this cat. But yeah, that's all I can
Yeah.
say is just confuse these robots if you can. It would be funny.
Yeah.
It's funny for me.
Absolutely.
And
So
enjoy
yeah,
your meal.
it looks and enjoy your meal.
And don't forget to enjoy your meal.
And bon appetit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, John, for that report on
Yeah.
Survey, the
Absolutely.
the mad robot.
I love stories like this where you can really just see, there's only one choice in the future. Your food will be delivered to you by robots. That's the only way things can go forward. Or is it?
Or is
And
it?
I have an interesting story here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's connected to the idea that like people want to sell you meat, and if you try to stop them in one way, you put in the robot servers, they're gonna seek out less conventional means. And the headline here is "Man Operating Unregistered Meat Van Sought by Police."
Oh, boy.
The article opens, "Try to avoid buying mystery meat." Okay,
Okay.
I've never done that before, but
I've never purchased mystery meat, but okay.
I've also never avoided it.
Yeah, I've never bought it on accident. I've never bought it on purpose.
A town in Massachusetts is looking for a man who is allegedly going door to door and trying to sell meat from his van. While authorities have said there is currently no evidence of anything nefarious going on, they're still asking residents to report any sightings of this mystery meat man. The Westfield Detective Bureau posted photos of the meat man on its Facebook page. In the images, the unidentified individual can be seen approaching a house's door at around 2:30 in the afternoon. His van, which is supposedly full of meat, is parked nearby on the street. Aside from an American flag printed on the side, it doesn't have any other visible markings.
Yeah. And also these photos, he is nothing but smiles in these photos. This is like valet concierge service right to your door.
Yeah, seems really
He
happy.
he probably was the former employee of the month at a restaurant owned by Rogers Hotel, Amesville Hotel, or whatever.
And he's like, what do I do? I've been a robot.
He got bumped
took my
out by
job.
Survey. Yeah.
Yeah, he
He's
said,
taking it to himself.
says, according to WWLP, a resident said that the man made him the following offer. Said, "Hey man, how are you doing? Quick question, sorry to bother you. I just finished up my deliveries for the day in Westfield. I got some extra orders. Want any steak half price? I got like fillets, strips, like $4 or $5 a cut."
No way. That's good.
So there's this really nice guy going door to door with an American
cut you a
flag,
deal.
proud of his country.
Yeah,
And
he's a patriot.
and he's giving people a great deal on really good meat in a really hard time for this country.
In the middle of summer in a van. That's
And the
not
police,
refrigerated.
police are after him now. This is another,
Yeah.
What's next?
You get punished for being a good person these days.
Yep.
Steak half price is 3 words together that are tantalizing but concerning.
On Facebook, the Westfield Detective Bureau wrote, "The department has been made aware that an individual in a white van with a USA flag on the side has been in various neighborhoods, knocking on random people's doors, trying to sell discounted meat. He is not registered with the city or this department to do so." The post continues, "By all accounts, it appears as though he is literally selling discounted meat, and there does not appear to be anything nefarious going on at this time."
He is not registered with the city or this department to do so. So the implication is that you can register to drive
Sell
door to
meat
door in an
door-to-door,
unmarked
yeah.
van and sell meat.
Can we take
Something
a
the
quick,
law allows.
Can we take a quick listen to see how the local news WWLP is reporting this on TV?
Yeah, let's take a look.
All right, let's
Sure,
take a
okay.
quick listen
take
to
a
this.
listen.
Bullying a local hero.
Here we are.
Police in Westfield said it's illegal to sell meat in neighborhoods without a permit, so if you see this man, they'd like to hear from you. Now on your screen here are the photos sent to us by police and some viewers of the man
It's
and his
just a photo of a van.
white van in the neighborhood. Westfield Police Captain Jerome Petoniak told 22 News residents have reported seeing him sell in the Union Street area of the city. He said they're trying to identify him because he needs a special permit to go door to door
He has his phone number here. We could potentially
call him.
give him a call.
So it's
selling
all
frozen meat packages.
it's all
22 News
about
found
just
out today.
Yep.
It's all about just getting the permit. That's like really the only
That's
thing
the big-
here. He just needs to
Yeah.
fill out a piece of paperwork so that he can go door to door in an unmarked van selling discounted meat.
And
They're trying to step on his like get up and go. his
Yeah,
initiative,
exactly.
His like American can do.
yeah, that's what imagine like this guy's face is now blasted all over local TV, and like he's in trouble for what? Ringing doorbells? Like, I mean, no, I know that he doesn't have the permit or whatever, but I can just imagine like his family would be like, your face is all over the news. He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to like side hustle. You like you guys want me out of the house or whatever. Like I'm trying to do something, and like all of a sudden the local TV is showing my face like I'm a criminal. You are a criminal.
I just like that they're saying that there's nothing nefarious. They don't suspect anything nefarious, but clearly, okay. And then maybe I'm like making a leap here, but like this man is driving to people's houses with the American flag on the side of his van, being like, "Hey, I'm from the government meat distributor. This is USA meat I have in the van,
Right.
And I'm trying to sell it to you at a deep discount today, just casually. Hey, buddy, you got an extra second? I have some fillets I need to unload real quick,
Cash
and
only.
then you feed them to your family, and then everyone gets Giardia or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's no way
Or-
that they're being like kept at safe temperatures.
Or dare I say it, it's actually human meat that he's selling.
Oh,
Yeah, I
dude.
know. Okay, that was the other thing that I thought of with the story, was that meat is an extremely vague word.
Yeah, there's so many different
Yeah.
types of meats.
And then a van full of meat sounds to me the way that like John Wayne Gacy probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
thinks about what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's selling human meat.
Oh.
Maybe even his
Or
own
not Gacy,
family.
but yeah.
We don't know.
Yes.
We can't confirm, but it's possible that he's selling his
And
own
all of this-
family as meat.
Oh. Who no longer, they.
His
Exactly.
face is being posted on all the local news. Like, this man could potentially be selling his own family as steaks. But all of this could have been avoided
If
if
you
he
just
had
had
just
a
filled out the
permit.
proper paperwork.
We don't know.
You know-
Like everything could be fine, but we just don't have him on
Which
file,
he could be
so-
doing this if he had registered with us.
Yeah,
He can do this. Legally, he's allowed to sell his family. This is
it is his
Massachusetts, for
family.
God's sake.
He has ownership over it. He can sell them as
Yeah,
steaks.
exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
you need to register.
You have to tick the right boxes.
Listen, he's got a really nice website here. It's Yonkers, New York. It says that it's copywritten 2023. The year hasn't even happened yet, so he's in the future, which is very
So this
cool.
guy is from the future. He's selling
Yeah.
us discounted steaks because they're steaks from the future.
Exactly.
Which implies that in the future, steak is so like abundant because it's being used by genetically cloned humans, cows.
Yeah. So he's
Like
gone back
the
in
killing
time.
fields are full of.
Yeah, but it's all
Yeah.
genetically created meat. And so he can make a killing by going back in time and selling that meat to us.
It's either cloned cows or they are culling humans because there's overpopulation is so badly affecting the future. So it's either human or genetic cow. Either way, this man is from the future.
Yeah, he says our founders believe in and built the company on human touch principle. United States Beef Purveyors is an owner-operated company that the founders still oversee and run the day-to-day business because they come to your house with no
Our founders
permit.
will believe in because they're from the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we call
Founders to be will believe in.
Should we call him?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for calling United States Beef Purveyors, the premier distributor for Natural Choices Omaha Beef and Black Angus Choice. All of our representatives are busy.
All one
Please
of our
leave a
representatives.
message and someone will get back to you shortly.
So much for the human touch aspect. I can't even speak to a human. I have to leave a
There's
message.
not even a human voice on the answering machine.
Yeah.
This guy's
All
too
right.
busy like going door to door to even answer his phone. Like he's just that committed to being in
He's
person.
Yeah.
There's
I love that it's United States Beef Purveyor is the name of the company.
Yeah. And they accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover. It is a no-hassle guarantee. They guarantee all the products for taste, tenderness, and against freezer burn for 1 year, and they'll gladly replace any unused product with a new product. So
and then sell that unused product at a deep discount.
So again,
1 year
this is
later.
another Blue Man Group thing where the article doesn't seem to know who this guy is, but then we figured it out immediately.
Immediately.
very
find him.
easily. Yeah.
So we know who this guy is. We know how he can be reached. And
We have his phone number. We have his PO
yeah.
box. And then
Yeah.
in the bottom left it says this is a home solicitation sale. And if you do not want the goods or services, you may cancel the agreement by providing a written notice to the seller in person, by telegram, by mail, or by fax, and returning the entire product in the same condition it was received. You would only write that if there was some issues, I think. This notice must indicate that you do not want the goods or services and must be delivered or postmarked before midnight of the third business day after you receive the goods or services. If you cancel this agreement, the seller may not keep all or part of any cash down payment if the product is returned unused and is in the same condition as received.
So we began with the headline "Man operating unregistered meat van sought by police," and we've ended with a tour of his business, his principles, his
extremely bureaucratic return policy.
Yeah, and his voicemail, which maybe the police could have just left a message or something.
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did. So that's again, why does this always happen that local news reports on something and then we just Google two things and find out everything about
You're just
it?
too goddamn good at this job.
I know. That's so true, John. I love that. Thank you very much for saying that. If you're interested
Devin, thank you so much for the story, by the way.
Yeah, Dev.
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
It was my pleasure. I was enjoying it the whole time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you feel like telling us that you enjoy us, please send us a letter to Blue Men Group, P.O. Box 21249, Detroit, Michigan, 48221.
And please
right,
see our return policy.
Yeah, and please see our return policy.
Nice, good joke.
Thanks. Thanks, John. All right, everybody, that was this week. Sorry, that was what's in the news. Oh boy, let's head on down to one of our last segments here. It's the Fratricidal Lover of the Week. So I got a headline right here.
Yeah.
This is from the New York Post, who we always rely on for excellent coverage.
We're dating. The Blue Men Group as a news official channel, and the New York Post are dating.
We're dating, yes.
Yeah.
We got a headline here.
Romantic relationship.
Woman marries man convicted of killing her brother. So we've got a newly married
What a
couple,
headline.
Crystal Strauss
So
and
if
John
you've read the
Tiedren.
Bible, if you've read the Bible or read Shakespeare, this will not come as a surprise to you whatsoever. But if you haven't, this might be so shocking you should sit down.
You may want to sit down. Yeah.
They both said "I do" after he said "I didn't do it," which is really good. An Ohio woman married a man convicted of killing her half brother in the 1980s, with the couple exchanging vows while he's on house arrest awaiting a retrial, reports said. So Crystal Strauss and John Tiedren, not to be confused with John Biedron, their host of Blue Men Group,
Hi, everyone.
began their strange courtship when she wrote him a letter saying she forgave him for killing Brian McGarry in 1987. And I wrote her a letter back, and I said, I didn't do it. Take a look at this stuff. Tiedren, 57, told News 5 Cleveland. I believe
His,
it.
scrawled, half insane defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's got like a pack of baseball cards or something. It's like, this doesn't prove anything, man. Like you're.
Yeah.
It's a picture of Joe Kennedy from the war.
He says, I believe in God too, and I know things about it, but I didn't do it.
All right. Take his word for it.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so
if he
it
actually
says-
didn't do it, this is much more reasonable. But if he did do it, whew,
I know he's lying. So he got out of prison on July 22nd after he was granted a new trial based on a slew of images and missing police reports, Boston 25 reported. It's no given that he'll be found not guilty the second time. It's no given? What does that mean?
that it's not certain that he will be found not guilty.
Okay, that's what I thought, but it's such a weird...
It's not a given.
Yeah, exactly. It's no given. That's weird.
I like to circle back once,
Please.
Just for a second
Please,
here. So she began their strange courtship when she wrote him a letter saying that she forgave him for killing her brother in 1987. So the same year that her brother was murdered, she believed that this man did it, and then immediately wrote a letter to him going, I forgive you.
Right.
And then he defended herself. Maybe she believes him, maybe she doesn't. But then she marries him.
I know.
She must hate her brother.
Yes.
Or hated.
Half brother. She half hates him.
brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The-
also...
not the better half, am I right?
But she said, or okay, so she wrote the letter saying she believes him, right? That's what you just said.
Yeah.
And then he...
No, she wrote a letter saying, I forgive you.
Right.
And then he was like, I didn't do it. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess you didn't. But
Yeah.
she went into the courtship being like, you're great still, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like, it's
Okay,
no
that's
biggie
fair.
what you did.
Right,
Yeah, like, it's
exactly.
totally
That's what I
fine.
was
Like, I
wrapping
totally
my head
forgive
around.
you.
We're all rooting
Yeah.
for you.
yeah. Referring to your better half. Your spouse is your better half, and it's the murder of your half brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll get through this, Strauss said, according to News 5. It's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. The Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office thinks it still has a solid case, telling News 5 that it has evidence that Tiedren asked a friend to dispose of the gun that killed McGarry. Tiedren's attorneys have argued that evidence points to McGarry having committed suicide. McGarry, who was Tiedren's roommate, was found dead in their apartment with a stab wound and a fatal gunshot wound to the head. I don't think
Classic
suicide move, yeah.
suicide.
After intense interrogation in 1987, they were like,
yeah.
Are
Did you do it or not?
Are you good at Pac-Man? After the intense interrogation, Tiedren signed a statement that said he shot his roomie in self-defense, Boston 25 stated.
Nice. Roomy.
Tiedren popped the question to Strauss on the phone on New Year's 2020 when they weren't sure he'd ever get out of prison. It's definitely not a fairy tale, Kendall Corral said of the romance. Nobody knows who Kendall Corral is.
Yeah, who's this? Not mentioned in the
But
story
it's
at
so
all.
genuine.
It's definitely not a fairy tale Kendall Corral said of the romance, according to the Post, but it's so genuine. So some random person...
Who is this person?
So it is a genuine relationship, according to Kendall Corral.
It would have been better if it was just... It's definitely not a fairy tale Kendall Corral said of the romance.
Yeah, exactly.
End of article.
Yeah. Like, well, that's true. But yeah, New Year's Eve 2020, popping the question over the phone from prison. It's like just a bleak situation.
Well, they were probably, yeah. I mean, Crystal was probably like partying, had a couple of like too many champagnes, was feeling a little lonely, and then just, decided to go for it. And then, New Year's Eve, you're like hungover, you have all these regrets.
Yeah, and then Tejan calls you, and then he's like, hey, do you want to get married? And you're just like, yeah, I guess I should.
Yeah, I guess we should work that out. He's like, great news, by the way. I think I've got another chance at breaking the case.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
I didn't think you ever would get out. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be on house arrest this year. Like, we can spend time together. And it's like, oh, great.
You didn't do it, I believe you. Sure.
Yeah. Like, already moving on to, like, another, like, death row inmate who you're, like, newly in love with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this
it's
guy...
Like New Year's resolution.
You killed my half-brother, but this guy killed my dad, so I mean...
This guy killed my real brother and my dad.
Yeah.
It's like your New Year's resolution is like, I have to stop falling in love with serial killers. Or
with
like
people that have killed
family
family members.
And then, okay...
All right, we're back. In the midst of our the last riff that me and John were just doing there, it turns out that Ron was so kind of intimidated by the humor of it and just how witty it was, how smooth it was,
how natural it was.
He quit the episode on the spot, and
he took his headphones off, his cans, he threw them down on the studio desk, and he walked past all of the servers that we get half of our studio rent off to be in the room with, and he stormed out.
So we don't have the numbers, as he has the key code for that. So no numbers.
We all have to turn our key at the same time when we look at the numbers. It's sort of like on a submarine when you want to launch a missile. It's like, okay, everyone who's a commanding officer has to be like in sync and like in agreement. And he took his key. Yeah.
And he's kind of the captain of this ship, so we're not really sure what to do here, but we're gonna say goodbye for now, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Blue Men Group.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and remember to constantly badger everyone in your life to listen and subscribe.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Bye-bye.